remember you have succeeded in returning to the House of Representatives in 2007, where you mentioned in your profile that you served as the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Niger Delta Development Commission. How will you describe that particular session of the National Assembly?
Sorry if I may put you right back on track. I came back in 2003 to 2007, and that was when Honorable Mulikat was first elected as the Speaker. Unfortunately, she was short-lived, and Honorable, I think Honorable Bankole, Dimeji Bankole took over from her, even though it was same time. Like I've always said, I mean, legislature as an institution is something that is being built over time. So when you talk about the Third Republic House of Representatives, for me it was like the beginning. If you talk about subsequent other dispensations of the House of Representatives or the National Assembly, these are successive sessions of the National Assembly. So I've always said that since it is an institutional thing, since it is something that is being built over time, then you will always expect this question of perfection as time continues. Of course, when we started, it was not as good as when others came up after us later. It was also not as good when you want to compare perhaps the fifth House of Representatives with the sixth, or you want to compare the sixth with the seventh. So I have always said that it is an institutional progression where you have the institution being strengthened, the culture, and even the concept of experience and knowledge of members. It gets better with time. That is what we call gradual perfection. So for me, the sixth House of Representatives, like you mentioned, when Bankole was the Speaker, we had our own problems then. Perhaps even some of the instruments, some of the working things that you require, including the chamber environment, the library, for instance, the kind of training we underwent, I think we are not as good. It was still as work in progress, work in progress, work in progress. So one good thing you may say about those assemblies, perhaps is still some presence of what you can call party respect and party ideologies playing. The concept of party respect and ideologies of political parties was still playing out. So I think it provided a good direction as well. And as time continued, possibly when Bankole left office, I think Honorable Amin Waziri Tambol came up, and he also came with his own style of leadership, just like he came with his own challenges. Because Amin Waziri Tambol, then you can remember, was not the choice of his political party. But later he was able to make it, and subsequently he has been able to stabilize the institution of the House of Representatives, because right from day one to the end, of course, because of his ability to hold members tight, and because of his also generous nature, very generous person. I mean, with not only generous, is somebody who you can call humble in politics, and humility is one major factor that you must have in parliamentary democracy, especially when you emerge as leader. And you know, our leadership in the National Assembly or leadership in the House or in the Senate is about first among equals. It's not because you are any better than anyone. Someone that is the last on the ladder can be better than you. Someone that is maybe along the middle can also be as good, but you only happen to be the one to take charge at the given time you are given the opportunity. And even the speaker or the deputy speaker or the house leader or anybody on the ladder of leadership will tell you that he is there not because he's any better than any other member of the House of Representatives, but simply you cannot have two speakers at the same time. You cannot have two deputy speakers at the same time. So also you cannot have two majority leaders at the same time. So for that reason, then others must concede to one other person to be the speaker. Members must concede to only one other person to be the deputy speaker. It is on the concept of that, the concept of first among equals, that you are there. And I want to believe the business of the house then was not as vibrant as it happened to be in the assemblies that succeeded it. Perhaps if you compare possibly with the time when I think it was Aminu Bello Masari that played out before Tambol. So all I'm trying to say is that the nature of the leadership of the house is subject or is based on the line of succession. Line of succession, because definitely the first cannot be as good as the second. The second cannot be as good as the third. The third cannot be as good as the fourth. And I want to tell you at the moment, without fear of contradiction, that today's leadership of the Ninth House of Representatives stands tall amongst all other leadership that preceded it, because we have gotten a lot of intervention. The relationship between the government and the legislature is quite brilliant, and the amount of resources also that is being accorded to the National Assembly to be able to train members, capacity building, to make members act and perform like other developed democracy is quite much better than it used to be in the past. That is probably why you can now see Speaker Femi Bajabiamila beating his chest to say that he has provided the best leadership of the House of Representatives. He has also provided the best opportunities for members of the House of Representatives to actually intervene in terms of developmental projects and in terms of giving back to the communities what we call dividend of democracy. And he has succeeded in that. It is only in this period, in this administration of Speaker Femi Bajabiamila, you have a member who will have an envelope worth over 300 million naira of projects. Some of them empowerment, some of them youth empowerment, women empowerment, some of them capital projects, provisions of water supply, building of schools in primary schools and even secondary schools, building of third roads. I want to say without any fear of being quoted that Femi Bajabiamila actually did very well in terms of carrying along members of the House to be able to achieve what they should achieve for the benefit of their people down the ladder, down in the constituencies. Pray. If anybody comes up now as speaker and cannot be able to size up, then definitely there will be a problem. Femi did very well, and members are proud of that.
Honorable, you have proven yourself as a parliamentary asset after returning again to the House of Representatives, where you have vested most of your political career. You served as chairman, House Committee on Millennium Development Goals. What was the work of that committee?
You see, Millennium Development Goals was one global initiative that was driven by the United Nations under the Millennium Development Goals concept and the Millennium Development Goals Declaration. It was one concept or initiative that was supposed to have been carried out globally, especially by member countries, members of the United Nations Development Goals Initiative. So, being a special initiative coming up from a global institution, Nigeria became a party to that. And coincidentally, in those days, Nigeria happened to be a beneficiary of what they call debt relief. The debt relief gain was the major investment, major resources upon which Nigeria's Millennium Development Goals was vested upon. It was $1 billion every year. $1 billion was a chunk of money, very big amount of money then. And it was what we now use and co-opted. We were able to use that $1 billion, translate it into Naira value, and commit it to the budget of the country, the federal budget. So it was now called debt relief gain. And resources or this money coming from the debt relief window was only subjected to be applied to Millennium Development Goals targets. And those targets were 7: basic education, water supply, maternal health, environmental improvement of environmental sustainability, They were numbering about 7. These were what we call 7 Millennium Development Goals, including fight against HIV, fight against some of these children inclined diseases. So those resources that were accruing from the debt relief were only applicable to what? To this Millennium Development Goals window alone. So for those of us in the House, perhaps possibly because of the need for the institution of the legislator to supervise and be able to also oversight the spending of government funds, then this $1 billion was captured in the budget, and then you needed to have a committee, standing committee, that would look after the implementation or the sorting out of this fund to the achievement of Millennium Development Goals. That was how I became chairman of the committee. I was the second chairman. Hajia Saudatu Sani, a former member from the Federal Constituency, was the main